appreciate you all taking time out of your schedule to hear this appeal. We are here today for a simple miscommunication surrounding documentation that has cost our boys' tennis team greatly. Dorman High School filed a complaint related to our initial ladder that was set at the beginning of the season. Now, I've learned a lot about ladders in the last few days, probably more than I ever wanted to know. Thankfully, I was able to see the interaction that was in question in this sanction and watch how it played out, and I can testify to you about that. Dorman's coach approached our coach Armstrong at the third round tennis match held at Mann High School on Monday, April 29th, and said something like, "Coach, they told me I have to ask for your ladder." He did not specify who they were, but in context at the time, I assumed it was someone in his chain of command. He seemed somewhat embarrassed, and when Coach Armstrong opened his book, the coach from Dorman snapped a quick picture, handed our coach a sheet of paper, and they had a brief discussion where our coach motioned with his hand to a white folder he had at his feet on the ground. The Dorman coach then walked away with no further questions. His body language, words, and lack of follow-up communicated loudly that he did not want to make the request. Regina Udy, my assistant principal, and I were at the match and were standing just behind the coaches and saw the interaction. We actually commented on the Dorman coach's strange behavior and obvious discomfort. The Dorman coach walked away seemingly satisfied with what Coach Armstrong had shown him. As we were in the playoffs, Coach Armstrong showed him a challenge sheet from the regular season that we had used to establish our playoff ladder. Coach Armstrong had all other documentation with him, including records going back for our tennis team for 3 years. Those records are housed between the book he had in his hand and the white folder that was at his feet. So we were surprised when Dorman filed a complaint about our initial ladder, because that is certainly not what their coach asked for. In fact, he asked no follow-up questions. I do not believe the rule in question was meant to function as a gotcha, but its intent was to spur an honest conversation about player placement in the ladder between coaches. J.O. Mann certainly has nothing to hide, and when asked by the league on the following day, we readily produced both the season challenges established in the playoff ladder as well as the challenges prior to a preseason tournament that led to our initial ladder. We would have produced this for Dorman or any other team, but that is not what they asked for. Ladders with challenge matches are put in place to keep teams from throwing higher seeded games they believe they would lose anyway, for the purposes of putting their better players against lower seeds on the other team and creating mismatches. The purpose of the ladder is clear. It prevents cheating, and it is needed. But ladder manipulation is easy to spot because manipulated matches will end at 4-3, 4-2, or 5-2, with several players inexplicably playing much lower seeds than normal. This is not what we have in this match. No one from Dorman High School or the high school league has alleged that J.O. Mann cheated or had any competitive advantage from failing to show our preseason initial ladder. Quite the opposite. Our number one player set out the match, causing all of our players to play up and not down. We won this match 6-0. No player from Dorman no player from J.O. Mann is even alleged to have been playing a lower seed than normal. I mean, no disrespect to the Dorman tennis team, but this match was not close. Dorman's number one seed even retired from the match 1 game into the second set, and the rest of the 5 games were equally lopsided. J.O. Mann is the 2-time defending state champion and played our players 1 seed higher than their normal position and without the benefit of our number one player, and still won handily. We do not need to manipulate a ladder to win. In any allegation of wrongdoing, there have to be 3 things: opportunity, ability, and motivation. I will not insult you and tell you that we didn't have the opportunity or the ability to manipulate a ladder, but we have no motivation to. What is the motivation to cheat when our team this year has won 9 matches by a 6-0 score, with 2 of those in the playoffs? It simply doesn't make sense. To put simply, there was no intentional wrongdoing or cheating. As a witness to the interaction in question, I believe that J.O. Mann has done nothing wrong. I understand why the league officials would have questions in this situation. One school brings an allegation against another, and they are in the, inevitable or unenviable position of trying to decide situations in an ex post facto manner. And it's hard to do. But if there was something in error, it was not cheating. It was at worst that both Coach Armstrong and I misunderstood the Dorman coach's question. Coach Armstrong has every sheet of paper and record about our tennis program that anyone could want, and they are all readily available. I asked that the executive committee would overturn a decision that was clearly meant for the worst cheating offenders. of which we have not even been accused. This sanction was not meant for communication errors. Let our kids play out until they either lose on the court or hoist the trophy in Florence. Don't let a possible adult miscommunication with no bearing on the match end these students' seasons. If I may, I would like to suggest a reasonable consequence. Again, I stress that I don't think JL Mann has done anything wrong, but if a sanction is needed, then sanction the adults that were involved. I'm responsible for all programs at JL Mann High School as the principal, and I was in attendance and saw the interaction. So if something was wrong, sanction me. You could ban me from the upper state and state championships. If that was not enough, then Coach Armstrong could be added to that list. You also have the option to take away our scrimmages next year or our preseason tournament. You have many such options open to you besides taking our team out of the playoffs. And none of our players have been alleged to do anything wrong. Ultimately, this only comes down to one thing. Did the Dorman coach ask for a sheet of paper that our coach filled out in February? That is all this is. This has nothing to do with the kids or the games as they were played on the court, or it has no effect on the outcome. And this is not what's best for kids. It teaches a horrible lesson to Dorman students and to ours. I appeal to you as people who are fair-minded and seek justice. Let our kids play this out. Thank you for your attention today. Mr. Warren, I yield back my time.